June 12th, 80 AD 413 in the afternoon. Rome, Italy. The sand is red. Not from the earth, but from what happened here this morning. 50,000 Romans sit in the stands. They want blood. They want death. They want entertainment. But they have no idea what they are about to witness. In the darkness beneath the arena, a man kneels in chains. His name is Cornelius. He is 32 years old. He has the body of a soldier, the scars of a warrior, the patience of a hunter. He does not speak. He has not spoken in 3 days. The guards think he is broken. They are wrong. Cornelius was born in Thrace. His father was a blacksmith. His mother died giving birth to him. He learned to fight before he learned to read. At 14, he killed his first man, a bandit who tried to steal his father's tools. Cornelius used a hammer, one swing. The bandit never got up. At 16, the Roman legions came. They burned his village. They killed his father. They took Cornelius as a slave. For the next 16 years, Cornelius fought in the arena. He fought in Capua, in Pompeii, in Alexandria, in Carthage. He killed 247 men. 247. Each one a human being, each one with a family, each one with dreams. Cornelius remembers every face. He did not want to kill. He had no choice. In the arena, you kill or you die. There is no middle ground. But Cornelius was different from other gladiators. He did not enjoy the killing. He did not celebrate victory. After each fight, he would return to his cell and sit in silence. The other gladiators called him Ghost, because he moved like one, because he was silent like one, because when you faced him in the arena, you were already dead. 6 months ago, Cornelius earned his freedom. The Emperor Titus himself placed the wooden sword in his hand, the rudis, the symbol of liberty. Cornelius walked out of the arena a free man. He swore he would never return. He bought a small farm outside Rome. Olive trees, goats, a well with clean water. For the first time in his life, Cornelius knew peace. Then the soldiers came. 3 days ago before dawn, 12 Praetorian guards, the personal soldiers of the emperor. They wore black cloaks over polished armor. They carried the finest weapons in the empire. Their leader was a man named Gaius Severus. He was 28 years old, son of a senator, nephew of a consul. Gaius had never fought in a real battle, never faced an enemy who could fight back. He earned his rank through family connections. He was a coward. And cowards are dangerous, because they prove their strength by hurting those who cannot defend themselves. Gaius kicked open Cornelius's door. His soldiers flooded inside. They dragged Cornelius from his bed. Cornelius did not resist. He could have 12 soldiers. In a confined space, in the dark, Cornelius had fought worse odds. But Cornelius was tired of killing. He had sworn an oath to himself. No more blood on his hands. No more faces to remember. So he let them take him. Gaius accused Cornelius of treason. He said Cornelius was plotting against the emperor. It was a lie. Everyone knew it was a lie. But lies from powerful men become truth. The real reason was simpler. Gaius wanted Cornelius's land. The farm sat on a spring. Fresh water. In Rome, fresh water was worth more than gold. Gaius's family owned the land next to Cornelius. With Cornelius gone, they could claim his property, a free man's life, destroyed for real estate. Cornelius understood immediately. He had seen this kind of corruption before, in the arena, in the slave markets, in the courts of Rome. Power corrupts. absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And in Rome, the powerful could do anything they wanted. Gaius paraded Cornelius through the streets of Rome. He wanted everyone to see the great gladiator, the ghost brought low by a real Roman. People lined the roads. They recognized Cornelius. Some had watched him fight. Some had bet on him. Some had cheered his freedom. Now they watched him walk to his death. But Cornelius noticed something. The people were not cheering for Gaius. They were silent. Some were crying. Gaius noticed too. His smile faded. He expected triumph. He got contempt. The people of Rome knew Cornelius. They knew what he had suffered. They knew he earned his freedom with blood, and they knew Gaius. They knew his family. They knew the corruption. Gaius made a decision. If the people would not love him, they would fear him. He turned to his soldiers. He gave an order. 3 of his men broke from formation. They walked into the crowd. An old man had been weeping. His name was Claudius. He was 64 years old. He had known Cornelius for 20 years. Claudius had been a trainer at the Gladiator school in Capua. He taught Cornelius how to use a sword, how to read an opponent, how to survive. When Cornelius earned his freedom, Claudius wept with joy. When Cornelius bought his farm, Claudius helped him plant the first olive tree. Now Claudius was weeping again, for a different reason. The soldiers grabbed him. They dragged him into the street. Gaius rode his horse forward. He looked down at the old man. "What did you say, old man?" Claudius said nothing. He just stared back. His eyes held no fear. Gaius did not like that look. He had seen it before. From men who did not respect him, he drew his sword. The blade was 22 inches of Spanish steel. It cost more than most Romans earned in 10 years. The crowd gasped. They stepped back. Women pulled their children away. Cornelius watched. His chains clinked as his hands formed fists. He had promised himself, no more killing, no more violence. But watching Gaius threaten Claudius, watching a coward abuse an old man, Cornelius felt something stir, something dark, something he had buried, something that had kept him alive for 247 fights. Gaius pressed his blade against Claudius's throat. The edge drew a thin line of blood. "Apologize, old man. Apologize for crying. Apologize for disrespecting a Praetorian." Claudius looked at Cornelius. Their eyes met. The old man shook his head. A tiny movement Cornelius understood. Claudius was telling him no. Do not sacrifice yourself. Do not throw away your freedom for an old man. Claudius turned back to Gaius. "I apologize. I apologize that your mother raised such a coward." The crowd went silent. Gaius went white, then red. He raised his sword to strike. Cornelius moved. He did not think. His body remembered. 16 years of training. 247 fights. Muscle memory beyond conscious control. The 2 soldiers holding Cornelius went flying. One hit a wall. One hit the ground. Neither got up. Cornelius crossed the distance in 2 steps. His chains swung. They caught Gaius's sword arm at the wrist. The sword fell. Cornelius caught it before it hit the ground. Everything stopped. The crowd, the soldiers, even Gaius. Everyone stared at the slave in chains, the freed gladiator, the ghost. Cornelius held the sword loosely, like it weighed nothing, like it was part of his arm. He looked at Gaius, then at the soldiers. then back at Gaius. He could kill them all. Gaius knew it. The soldiers knew it. The crowd knew it. 12 Praetorian guards. The best soldiers in Rome. Against one man in chains. The soldiers would lose. Cornelius flipped the sword, caught it by the blade. He held out the handle to Gaius. He spoke for the first time in 3 days. His voice was quiet, calm, cold. I do not want to hurt anyone. Take your sword. Let the old man go. I will come peacefully. Gaius stared at the offered sword. His face cycled through emotions. Shock, anger, fear, then something worse, pride. Gaius was not smart. He was not experienced, but he had pride. Pride that had never been challenged. Pride that demanded blood. He snatched the sword from Cornelius. He swung without warning. A wild slash aimed at Cornelius's throat. Cornelius leaned back. 2 inches. The blade passed through empty air. Gaius swung again, and again, and again. Cornelius did not fight back. He did not need to. He simply moved. A step here, a lean there. The difference between them was obvious. Gaius swung like a child with a stick. Cornelius moved like water around stone. The crowd began to murmur. Some began to laugh. A Praetorian guard, the elite of Rome, could not hit a man in chains. Gaius heard the laughter. His face turned purple. He screamed in rage. He drove his horse forward. He tried to trample Cornelius. Cornelius sidestepped. His chained hands grabbed the horse's bridle. He pulled. The horse stopped. He looked up at Gaius. Still calm, still patient. Enough, please. I do not want to hurt you. Gaius raised his sword for another strike. Then Cornelius did something unexpected. He smiled. Not a warm smile, not a friendly smile. The smile of a man who had just made a decision. The last 16 years, Cornelius had controlled himself. He had fought when told, killed when ordered. But he had always held back. In the arena, he fought at 80%. Maybe 90 on bad days. He won fights as quickly as possible. Minimized suffering, showed mercy when he could. The people of Rome had never seen the real ghost they were about to. Cornelius moved. Fast. Faster than human eyes could track. His chain wrapped around Gaius's sword arm. A twist. A pull. Gaius flew from his horse. He hit the ground hard. The sword clattered away. Cornelius stood over him. The chain pressed against Gaius's throat. The soldiers drew their swords, 12 blades, all pointed at Cornelius. Cornelius did not look at them. He kept his eyes on Gaius, call them off. Now, Gaius was terrified. His earlier confidence was gone. He was seeing Cornelius clearly for the first time. This was not a retired gladiator. This was not a farmer. This was a killer. A professional. A master of death. Kill him, Gaius screamed. Kill him now. The soldiers charged. What happened next would become legend. 1 minute, 12 soldiers. 1 man in chains. Cornelius released Gaius. He spun. His chains became weapons. The first soldier attacked from the left. A downward slash. Cornelius stepped inside the swing. His elbow drove into the soldier's throat. The soldier dropped. 1 down. The second soldier thrust at Cornelius's back. Cornelius pivoted. The blade missed by inches. His chain caught the soldier's wrist. A twist. The wrist snapped. The soldier screamed. Cornelius kicked him into the third soldier. 3 down. The fourth and fifth attacked together. Coordinated professional. Cornelius ducked. Both blades passed over his head. He rose between them. His hands shot out. 2 palm strikes. Both men dropped. 5 down. The 6th soldier was smarter. He threw his sword. Cornelius caught it. By the handle, like he knew it was coming. He threw it back. Handle first. It hit the soldier in the forehead. 6 down. 30 seconds had passed. Half the Praetorian Guard was on the ground. The 7th soldier ran. Just turned and fled. The 8th stepped forward, brave. Or stupid. He was a big man. 6 feet, 3 inches, 240 pounds, covered in muscle. He swung his sword in a wide arc, a killing blow. Cornelius dropped. His body went horizontal. The blade passed over him. Before he hit the ground, his foot shot up. It caught the big man under the chin. The soldier went down like a tree. 7 down. The remaining 5 soldiers looked at each other. They were elite. They were trained. They had never lost a fight, and they were losing this one. One of them made a decision. He charged alone. Cornelius stepped aside. His chain wrapped the soldier's ankle. A pull. The soldier went airborne. He landed on his back. The wind left his lungs. 8 down. The 9th and 10th attacked together. Desperation made them brave. Cornelius blocked one sword with his chains. The iron links caught the blade. He kicked the other soldier in the knee. The joint bent backward. The soldier screamed. He fell. His partner hesitated. That hesitation cost him. Cornelius's forehead connected with the soldier's nose. 10 down. 50. 2 seconds had passed. The 11th soldier dropped his sword. He held up his hands. Please, I surrender. Cornelius nodded. He turned to the 12th soldier. The last Praetorian was young, 20 years old, fresh from training. His hands were shaking. He was not a warrior. He was a boy playing soldier. Cornelius walked toward him. Slowly, the boy swung his sword. Wild, unpracticed. Cornelius caught the blade in his chains. He twisted. The sword flew from the boy's hands. The boy stood there, weaponless, trembling. Cornelius looked at him. The boy expected death. Go home. The boy did not need to be told twice. He ran. 1 minute, 12 soldiers. All neutralized. Cornelius turned. He looked at Gaius. The Praetorian commander had not moved. He was still on the ground where Cornelius had dropped him. His face was white. His eyes were wide. His body was shaking. For the first time in his life, Gaius Severus understood what it felt like to be powerless, to be at the mercy of someone who could end you with a thought, to be nothing. Cornelius stood over him. The crowd pressed closer. 50,000 eyes in the Colosseum waited for the afternoon fights. But here, in this street, a more important drama was unfolding. The people of Rome had seen many things: games, wars, emperors rise and fall. But they had never seen anything like this. A slave, a gladiator, a free man, standing over a Praetorian guard, a senator's son, a symbol of Roman power, and the slave had won. Cornelius reached down. He grabbed Gaius by the front of his armor. He lifted the man to his feet. Gaius hung there, limp, defeated. Do you know why I did not kill you? Gaius shook his head. He could not speak. Because you are not worth killing. Cornelius released him. Gaius crumpled to the ground. The crowd began to murmur, then to talk, then to shout, "Ghost, ghost, ghost." The name spread through the streets. It reached the Colosseum. It reached the palace. Within an hour, Every person in Rome knew what had happened. The ghost had returned, and he had defeated 12 Praetorians in 1 minute. But Cornelius was not done. He turned to the crowd. His voice was not loud, but it carried. "Listen to me, all of you." The crowd went quiet. Even the groaning soldiers fell silent. "I am Cornelius of Thrace. I was a slave. I was a gladiator. I earned my freedom." He pointed at Gaius. "This man took my land. He arrested me without cause. He would have killed me for entertainment." A murmur ran through the crowd. They knew. They had always known. He is not the only one. There are many like him. Men who think their blood makes them better. Men who think they can take what they want. The crowd grew louder. Sounds of agreement. Sounds of anger. These men are cowards. They prey on the weak. They hide behind their fathers' names. Cornelius looked at Gaius. The Praetorian commander was trying to crawl away. Cornelius stepped on his cloak. Gaius stopped. "Stay. You need to hear this." He turned back to the crowd. "I could kill this man right here. Right now. No one would stop me." The crowd did not disagree. Some nodded. "But I will not." "Do you know why?" He paused. The crowd waited. "Because that would make me like him. It would make me a man who kills because he can. A man who uses power to destroy." The crowd was silent. Understanding was dawning. "I have killed 240. 7 men. I remember every face. Every name I could learn. Every life I took." Some in the crowd looked down. They had cheered those deaths. They had bet on them. They had celebrated. "I did not choose that life, but I choose this one. I choose to be more than a killer." He reached down. He pulled Gaius to his feet. "This man will face trial. Not because I demand it, because justice demands it." He pushed Gaius toward the crowd. People caught him, held him. "Let the courts decide his fate. Let Rome decide. That is what separates us from animals." The crowd held Gaius. They did not hurt him, but they did not let him go. Cornelius walked to Claudius. The old man was still standing where the soldiers had grabbed him. "Are you hurt?" Claudius shook his head. Tears were streaming down his face. "I told you not to interfere. You could have been killed." Cornelius smiled. A real smile. Warm. "You taught me everything I know. You think I would let them hurt you?" Claudius laughed through his tears. He embraced Cornelius. The crowd watched. Some were crying. Some were cheering. "Ghost! Ghost! Ghost!" But Cornelius held up his hand. The crowd went quiet. "I am not a hero. I am just a man who wants to live in peace." He looked at the fallen soldiers. Some were starting to stir. "Help them." They were following orders. "They do not deserve to suffer." The crowd hesitated. These were Praetorian guards, the same men who terrorized them daily. "Please." Slowly, people moved forward. They began helping the soldiers to their feet. The soldier with the broken wrist. The big man who was still unconscious. The ones with cuts and bruises. One by one, the crowd helped them. Cornelius watched. This was what he wanted. Not revenge. Not death. Understanding. The soldier who had surrendered approached Cornelius. He was limping. His face was bruised. "I apologize for everything." Cornelius nodded. "Go home. Be better than your commander." The soldier saluted. A real salute. Not the mocking gesture he had given earlier. He walked away. Cornelius turned to leave. The crowd parted for him, but a voice stopped him. "Wait." A man pushed through the crowd. He was old. 74 years. His robes were purple. His bearing was imperial. The crowd recognized him immediately. They fell to their knees. It was Emperor Titus himself, the same man who had given Cornelius his freedom 6 months ago. The ruler of the known world, Cornelius bowed his head. But he did not kneel. Emperor. Titus smiled. He waved his hand. Rise, all of you. The crowd stood. They watched in silence. Titus approached Cornelius. He stood close enough to speak quietly. I saw what you did from my balcony. Cornelius met his eyes. Then you know I did not start this. Titus nodded slowly. I know. I also know that Gaius Severus has been stealing land from veterans for 2 years. I have been waiting for proof. Cornelius's eyes widened slightly. The emperor knew. He had known all along. Why did you not stop him? Titus sighed. For a moment he looked every one of his 74 years. His father is a senator. His uncle is a consul. I am emperor, but even I cannot act without evidence. Politics. Cornelius understood. Power had limits. Even imperial power. Titus smiled again. But now I have evidence. 50,000 witnesses, 100 soldiers. And you. He turned to face the crowd. His voice rose. Citizens of Rome, you have witnessed a crime. The Praetorian Gaius Severus arrested a free man without cause. He attempted murder in plain sight. The crowd roared. They had the emperor's attention. They had been heard. He will face trial. His family's protection will not save him. The crowd cheered again. Gaius was still being held by citizens. His face was pale. Titus turned back to Cornelius. And you, Cornelius of Thrace. The ghost. He paused. The crowd went silent. I offer you a position. Commander of my personal guard. Replace the coward who failed today. The crowd gasped. A slave, a gladiator. Commander of the Praetorian Guard. It had never happened. It would change everything. Cornelius was silent. He looked at Claudius. The old man was watching, waiting. He looked at the crowd. The faces of Rome. Rich and poor. Slave and free. He looked at his hands. The hands that had killed. The hands that had healed. Then he looked at Titus. Emperor, I am honored. But I must decline. The crowd murmured. Titus raised an eyebrow. May I ask why? Cornelius took a breath. I have spent 16 years fighting, killing, surviving. I have earned my peace. I will not trade it for power. Titus was silent. He studied Cornelius. You are either the wisest man in Rome or the most foolish. Cornelius smiled. Perhaps both. Titus laughed. A real laugh. The crowd relaxed. Very well. But if you ever change your mind, the offer stands. He turned to his guards. Remove his chains. A guard stepped forward. He produced a key. The chains fell from Cornelius's wrists. Cornelius rubbed his wrists. The skin was raw, but he was free. Again. Titus addressed the crowd one final time. Let this be a lesson to all of Rome. No man is above justice, not even those who wear the imperial black. He looked at Gaius. Take him away. His trial begins tomorrow. Guards surrounded Gaius. They led him away. The former Praetorian commander did not resist. He was broken. His power was gone. His protection was gone. All that remained was judgment. Titus turned back to Cornelius. Your land will be restored? With interest, I will see to it personally. Cornelius bowed his head. "Thank you, Emperor." Titus smiled one last time. He leaned close. "The truth is, Rome needs more men like you, not fewer." Then he turned. His guards surrounded him. He walked away. The crowd watched him go. Then they turned to Cornelius. But Cornelius was already walking. He did not want speeches. He did not want celebration. He wanted to go home. Claudius fell in beside him. "That was impressive." Cornelius shrugged. "I told them I would come peacefully." Claudius laughed. "And the 12 soldiers?" Cornelius smiled. They did not want peace. They walked in silence for a while. The crowds thinned. The noise faded. Eventually, Claudius spoke again. "What will you do now?" Cornelius thought about it. "Go back to my farm. Plant more olive trees. Maybe get another goat." Claudius nodded. "That sounds good." They walked on. The sun was starting to set. Rome glowed orange and gold. Cornelius stopped. He turned to look back at the city. 247 fights. 16 years. And for what? For this moment. This freedom. This choice. He had earned it. With blood, with pain, with sacrifice. And no one would ever take it from him again. News of the fight spread quickly. Within days, it reached every corner of the empire. The story changed with each telling. 12 soldiers became 20. 1 minute became 30 seconds. But the core remained the same. A free man had been wronged. He had fought back, and he had won. In the provinces, slaves heard the story. They did not say anything, but they remembered. In the army, soldiers heard the story. Some laughed at the Praetorians. Some wondered if they could have done better. None of them thought they could. In the Senate, politicians heard the story. They debated its meaning. They worried about its implications. A slave who became a warrior. A warrior who became a free man. A free man who defeated the emperor's own guard. It was dangerous thinking. It suggested that maybe, just maybe, power was not everything. Gaius Severus stood trial 3 days later. The proceedings lasted 4 hours. 50 witnesses testified. Soldiers, citizens. Even the emperor himself sent a written statement. Gaius was found guilty, false imprisonment. Attempted murder, theft of property. His sentence was exile. He was stripped of his rank. His family was fined heavily. He would spend the rest of his life on a small island in the middle of the sea alone. Some said death would have been kinder, but Cornelius had chosen mercy, and the courts honored that choice. Cornelius did not attend the trial. He had no interest in watching Gaius suffer. He was already home, already planting, already healing. Claudius visited often. They would sit under the olive trees. They would talk about the old days. Sometimes they would spar with wooden swords. Cornelius always won, but he let Claudius score a few points. The old man needed to feel useful. Months passed. The story of the ghost faded from daily conversation. New scandals replaced it, but the lesson remained. Power is not about strength. It is about choice. The choice to fight or walk away. The choice to kill or show mercy. The choice to take power or give it up. Cornelius had made his choices. They had cost him everything, and given him everything. He was no longer the ghost. He was just Cornelius, a farmer, a free man, a man who had found peace, and that was enough. 1 year later, Cornelius sat under his oldest olive tree, the one he and Claudius had planted together. The tree was flourishing. Its branches spread wide. Its roots went deep, like Cornelius himself. A messenger arrived from Rome. A young man in imperial livery. The emperor requests your presence. There is a matter that requires your expertise. Cornelius smiled. Tell the emperor I am flattered. But my expertise is growing olives now. The messenger hesitated. He said you would say that. He also said to tell you that 100 Praetorians have requested training from the ghost. Cornelius laughed. Tell them to come here. I will teach them how to plant trees. The messenger bowed. He rode away. Cornelius returned to his tree. He leaned against its trunk. Somewhere in Rome, 50,000 people were watching men kill each other for entertainment. But here, under the olive tree, one man had found something better. Not fame, not power, not glory, just peace. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all. The ripples of that day spread far beyond Rome's walls. In Britannia, a centurion heard the story around a campfire. He had served 20 years, killed more men than he could count. That night, he made a decision. He requested transfer to administrative duties. No more killing. In Alexandria, a slave owner heard the story from a merchant. He owned 43 humans. Some had been with him for decades. The next morning, he freed them all. Every single one. In Carthage, a gladiator trainer heard the story from a sailor. He had sent hundreds of men to their deaths. He closed his school, opened a bakery instead, made bread for the poor. One man, one choice. Thousands of lives changed. Back in Rome, the political consequences continued to unfold. Gaius Severus's father lost his seat in the Senate. The family's estates were seized. Their name became synonymous with shame. Other corrupt officials took notice. Some quietly returned stolen lands. Others fled Rome entirely. Fear of exposure had accomplished what law enforcement could not. Emperor Titus used the moment wisely. He announced reforms to the Praetorian Guard. New standards, new training, new accountability. No longer would family connections guarantee advancement. Merit would decide rank. The old guard resisted. Some resigned, others adapted. Within a year, the Praetorian Guard was transformed. Leaner, hungrier, more loyal to Rome than to their own families. All because one man refused to kill when he had every right to. The story became legend. Then the legend became myth. Children played games in the streets. One would be the ghost. Others would be Praetorians. The ghost always won. Parents used the story to teach lessons. About courage, about mercy, about knowing when to fight and when to walk away. The arena itself changed. Crowds still came. But they began to cheer differently. They cheered for skill, not just slaughter. They called for mercy more often. They remembered that the men in the sand were human. Not every fight, not every time, but enough to matter. 3 years passed. Cornelius's olive oil became famous throughout Italy. He sold to merchants, to nobles, even to the imperial palace. He hired workers. Former slaves mostly. He paid them fair wages, treated them like family. His farm became a model. Other landowners visited, some to learn, some to criticize, but the results spoke for themselves. His workers were loyal. His harvests were abundant. His reputation was spotless. One day, a young man appeared at his gate. He was 17, thin, scared. He said his name was Cassius. He had run away from a gladiator school. He had heard about the ghost. Cornelius took him in, fed him, gave him a bed. The next morning, they worked the fields together. Cornelius taught him about olives, about soil, about patience. Cassius never went back to the arena. Over the following years, more came. Escaped gladiators, freed slaves, lost souls looking for direction. Cornelius turned none away. His farm became a refuge, a place of second chances. The authorities knew. They chose not to interfere. The emperor himself had made it clear. Cornelius was not to be touched. Claudius lived another 8 years. He died peacefully, under the olive tree he and Cornelius had planted together. His last words were simple. "Thank you for everything." Cornelius buried him on the farm. He planted another olive tree over the grave. Every year on the anniversary, Cornelius would sit by that tree. He would talk to his old friend, share the year's news, tell him about the new workers, the harvests, the grandchildren of former slaves who now ran their own farms. The legacy kept growing. Cornelius never married. He said the farm was his family. The workers were his children. Some called it lonely. Cornelius called it complete. He lived to be 67 years old. 35 years after that day in the street, he died in his sleep. Under the first olive tree, the one Claudius helped him plant. They found him with a smile on his face. Hundreds came to his funeral. Former gladiators, freed slaves, senators, even members of the imperial family. They buried him next to Claudius. They planted another olive tree. The farm continued. Cassius took over. He ran it exactly as Cornelius had. Fair wages, second chances. Mercy over revenge. The story of the ghost was told for generations. In Rome, in the provinces, in lands the Romans never conquered. It changed with each telling, but the core remained. A man who could kill chose not to. A man who was wronged chose justice over revenge. A man who was offered power chose peace, and in doing so he changed the world. Underscore, 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 underscore. Underscore, underscore, underscore. The lesson is simple. Power is not about what you can do. It is about what you choose to do. The strongest man in Rome was not the one who killed 12 soldiers. He was the one who could have killed them and chose not to. True power is restraint. True strength is mercy. True victory is peace. Cornelius understood this. He lived it. He died proving it. And now you know his story. The question is simple. What will you choose? When you have the power to destroy, will you? When you have the right to revenge, will you take it? When you can choose between strength and mercy, which will you pick? Cornelius made his choice. He chose peace. He chose mercy. He chose to be more than what the world expected. And that choice echoed through history. Make yours count.